is up, Top Shot Nation? Welcome to Archive Set Drop 2. Very excited for this one. Some big Top Shot debuts from some superstars of yesteryear. I'm Jacob Eisenberg, the community lead for NBA Top Shot. Thanks for joining us today. May the luck be with you in the queue. And we're going to break down all of the great moments from this drop. Grateful to be joined today by my partner in crime, Austin Kent, our content lead. Austin, how's it going, man?
Doing real good. Excited to go through some more blasts from the past today with you.
Absolutely. And JP in the studio's got a whole run of show listed out. So we've got some great moments. We're going to go in chronological order of when these moments happened. So we're going to see a bunch of moments from 2005, 2006, then a few from 2013, 2014. And no better place to start. Austin, you know I'm a Knicks fan. We got Wally Szczerbiak, big Knicks MSG commentator and analyst these days. Wally World, one of my favorite players from childhood, making his Top Shot debut here. What do you remember most about Wally as a star?
I love just how much of a machine he was with that jump shot. And my favorite thing about this moment is you see him start to square up his shoulders even before his feet are planted. And it's kind of like a 90-degree jump shot. But as soon as like Wally got like lasered in, with those shoulders and, eyes on the rim, it was just money. So it's fun to see him kind of mix it up a little bit there.
Absolutely. And Wally, one of the fun facts about him, born in Barcelona, dad was a professional overseas, but the pride of Long Island, big superstar coming out of New York. And of course, great career. I actually think in today's NBA, he'd be just the perfect stretch four. So Minnesota back then played Kevin Garnett at the 4 and Wally at the 3. But I think in today's NBA, it would be a much better kind of fit for KG at the 5 and Wally at the 4. But yeah, that's Wally Szczerbiak for you. Great Top Shot debut. Moving ahead here, we've got a common moment from Tracy McGrady. This is his first common moment on Top Shot. And this was fresh off of 6 straight All-Star games, T-Mac here with some acrobatics at the rim. Obviously, one of the biggest superstars of the 90s, 2000s. What are your memories of T-Mac as a Rocket?
A little bit different as a Rocket than, previously with Orlando and with Toronto. But one thing that never changed was just how fluid he looked with the ball at his size. He's so long. As soon as he got into that, like back to the basket, did that slight little lean back, trouble's coming. And he's just so fluid as he gets to the rim. So doesn't throw this one down, but he makes an even more incredible sort of acrobatic finish to do the up and under. But T-Mac was just such a fun player to watch every stop of the way. And as he developed that finesse side of his game, during that Rocket stint, it was just quite fun to watch.
Absolutely. And moving ahead here, one of the rare star-for-star trades in NBA history. Tracy McGrady got traded to Houston for the franchise Steve Francis. And here's Steve Francis as an Orlando Magic making his Top Shot debut. Man, the franchise was something else in his prime.
Oh, yeah. Truly one of the most explosive guards that you can think of any generation. Such a joy to watch in Houston in those pajama jerseys, and then even in Orlando. So I like this play just to see him completely, turn the corner and just take off. As like he was listed at 6'4", so maybe you put him at like 6'2", 6'3", to be able to throw down that easily, like on a dime like that. Steve Francis was so fun to watch.
Of course, the Knicks later in that season traded for Steve Francis, envisioning a reincarnation of Clyde Frazier, Earl the Pearl Monroe with Stephon Marbury and Francis. Let's just say it didn't work out quite as planned. But yeah, of course, here, Steve Francis throwing it down. And one of my fondest memories as a kid, getting NBA Live 2002, Steve Francis, the cover athlete. So definitely a superstar of yesteryear, and excited to see him on Top Shot as of today. Moving ahead here, Mr. Big Shot, now with the Portland Trailblazers as their head coach, Chauncey Billups. You were a Pistons fan growing up. What did it mean to you to have a guy like Chauncey in the fourth quarter on your team, knowing that he was going to come through?
Yeah, Chauncey was fearless, at the end of games. He'd he'd pull up for anything. He'd pull up from deep. He'd be able to get to his spots like here, like heading straight to the elbow. Just did it time and time again to the point where, whatever chance he does, you just stop questioning it because he's just got this perfect sense of the game, and he's gonna make the right decisions. Um, it's funny that you bring up the Portland tie. Obviously, Damon Stoudemire, the defender here, a lot of links to Portland for Damon Stoudemire as well. So don't know how Portland fans will feel about this one, but this is a double overtime. Chauncey Phillips was the man.
Absolutely. Moving ahead here, speaking of another guy that many fan bases termed the man at one point, Ray Allen, one of the best shooters in NBA history. And here we see more than just a shooter, breaking down the defense, finishing with an acrobatic tightrope at the rim, drawing the and one. Man, what Ray Allen, Jesus Shuttlesworth, was able to do in his prime, just few like him ever in NBA history.
Yeah, the kids these days will think of Ray Allen, obviously for good reason, as a famously, wonderful 3-point shooter. But that during his Bucks days and during his Sonics days, he could throw down. He had the sort of like aerial craftsmanship to be able to pull off stuff like this. He just did it night in and night out. I love seeing like a scorer like Ray Allen really show that body control midair to be able to, not just draw a foul in this situation, but walk away with an and one opportunity.
Yeah, and just an unbelievable slew of characters on the court in that play. We got Jeff Foster. I think we saw Danny Fortson. Just an unbelievable array of talent. So awesome to see. Moving along here to one of my favorite players from the 2000s, one of the most entertaining dunkers in NBA history, Josh Smith. And here he is with his first common moment on Top Shot. This guy threw it down like few others in NBA history. And here we see him on the break. What a terror. You did not want to get in front of this guy.
Yeah, I love just the amount of ground he can cover in the air. He's jumping from like the middle hash marks on this one, and the way he just has those long arms to extend the ball so far behind him, and then just to throw it down like that, he makes it look easy. But when you actually, bring out the measuring tape, it just blows your mind what he's capable of.
He was the star. Him and Al Horford were the stars of the Hawks the first year I covered their team. And Josh Smith was the first star to give me some quotes for my first articles. And I remember it was just after the Joe Johnson trade. And he was talking about how they were kind of on this treadmill of mediocrity, so to speak, to put it maybe a little unfairly to a team that was making the playoffs every year. But Josh Smith said, we're finally out of cement and we're in transition. And then that year, him and Al Horford leading the fast break as the big men of the Hawks. Just a pleasure to watch. And of course, I think Josh Smith, one of the first players in history, one of the fastest players in history to get to, I believe it was 1,000 points, 500 blocks. He really could do everything on both ends. So great to see him making his debut as a common moment here. I guess he did have a debut moment in Run It Back. So gotta distinguish that. Moving ahead, one amazing dunker to the next. Here we see Vince Carter with his first common moment, and this guy, what couldn't he do?
Yeah, Vince Carter, incredible, especially during this year with the Nets. There is so many incredible highlights. Being like having to pick just a few of them to be able to introduce to the product is a fun task, but a difficult task. What I love about this is like the same like leaping ability, body control, and creativity that made Vince Carter the best dunker, best in-game dunker. I don't think that's controversial. It made him so fascinating in other aspects as well. So to be able to pull off this sort of 360 layup and then still manage to cap off the little scoop shot, it was just textbook Vince in ways other than just traditional posters. So fun to see.
It's just unbelievable watching this one more time through where he finishes, where he lands, the angle he's seeing the shot go in. Like that's for a lot of people, that's like a long jump. And for him, he's just 360ing and it's nothing, second nature, pulling it off, sticking the landing. Nick's rim protection in the first 9 plays here, getting called into question a little bit, but that was the era of 05-06 that we did not have very much rim protection. So moving ahead to our first New York Knick in the archive set in this drop, we got Stephon Marbury, one of my favorite players from childhood, and still, I think, maybe misremembered or underappreciated for just how flashy and special a talent he was. He could really pass the ball. You see here, hitting Eddie Curry backdoor. Andrew Bogut, one of the best team defenders of the 2000s, just didn't stand a chance.
Yeah. I love this one. It's a subtle one, but I love how casually he just sort of strolls the perimeter, then hits him with the no look, from his hip, just sort of chucks it in there. Stephon Marbury made everything look so cool, and was just one of the truly most like visionary playmakers of his generation.
Yeah, I think and that play is somewhat reminiscent of Sebastian Telfair, of course, his cousin in high school at Lincoln High. Just a one-handed zip pass, no look, where he does like a pirouette on the pass. Kind of similar vibes here, just finding people backdoor that the defense can't even anticipate. Moving ahead here to Mr. Heat, Udonis Haslem with his first common moment on Top Shot. Udonis Haslem, undrafted player. What's he, 20, 15, 17, 18, 19 seasons in the league now with the Heat, and just a consummate leader, consummate professional. Here we see him in his prime. He could get up back in the day.
Yeah, and the thing I love about this moment, it really kind of shows that team chemistry, that chemistry he had with Dwayne Wade. This is like a high speed, long distance alley-oop. That's not an easy thing to pull off. And then throw in the fact that you're cramming it over like shot blocker Andre Kirilenko, whose arms, went on for days. Just makes it all that much more special.
Yeah, getting anything over the top of Andre Kirilenko is a testament to your leaping ability. So props to you, Udonis. Nicely done. Moving ahead here, another guy, just one of the better dunkers of the 2000s, first overall pick in the year 2000, Kenyon Martin, Kmart. Growing up as a Knicks fan in the New York metropolitan area, the Jason Kidd, Kenyon Martin duo really just dominated the headlines, and Kmart here, moving along to his Denver days, still could get up, throw it down, and in true Kmart fashion, the scream, the punctuation at the end of the play. This guy was a passionate player that was not shy about making his voice heard.
Yeah, truly ferocious in like every stretch of the word. And obviously Kenyon Martin's son, KJ Martin, Kenyon Martin Jr., throwing down some nasty dunks with the Houston Rockets. But the thing about Kmart Sr. was he just wrecked havoc on the rim and does so here. And once I saw that, Selly at the end, I'm like, I knew that was a play that we wanted to get into the product so people could appreciate that Kenyon Martin Sr. did it first.
Two more editor's notes here. Crazy to just see what 2006 NBA basketball looked like for the San Antonio Spurs, arguably the best team of the generation. They're playing Fabricio Oberto and Rasho Nesterovic on the court at the same time. I don't think I recognize that those guys shared minutes. And Andre Miller, best alley-oop passer in NBA history. I'll maintain that to the day I die. Just unbelievable alley-oop passer. I believe this was his first alley-oop. Definitely as a common. I think it's just great to capture. And we'll watch this one more time back because the line drive laser that Andre Miller tosses here so nonchalantly to Kenyon Martin over the defense, just epic.
Yeah, a nice pair for sure.
Moving along to arguably the biggest name in this drop, Shaquille O'Neal. Obviously, we have a ton of great Shaq moments from history, but as a Pistons fan, over these years, the Heat and the Pistons had a hard-fought rivalry. What was it like, fearing Shaq, like knowing that your Pistons went toe-to-toe with Shaq on the Lakers in 2004 and came out on top, and then all of a sudden Shaq the next season ends up in your conference and becomes kind of the bigger rival that you have to deal with?
Yeah, it was a fun time. It was a fun time, I'll be honest. Obviously, the Pistons beat the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals, when they went on to lose to the Spurs. But the next year, Shaq's second season in Miami, Dwayne Wade had another year of experience under his belt. It just, as much as I was rooting for my boys, as much as I was rooting for the Pistons, it was obvious that this Miami Heat team was inevitable. Shaquille O'Neal, obviously so great in LA, so great in Orlando before that, and was truly great in Miami too. Um, so I love seeing him here. We obviously had a very sort of nimble, fun moment from Shaq dropping in the run at back set, where he blocks a shot, takes the ball down the court, and finishes it with a nice high speed layup. But it's nice to be able to throw back to that traditional Shaq power move and to get a nice little alley oop from Jason Williams. What better way to bring Shaq's first dunk onto the platform?
100%. Moving along here, we get Luke Walton's first moment on Top Shot. Luke Walton, of course, head coach of the Sacramento Kings. Quite a few Kings players collecting on Top Shot. I'll be curious to see if any of them pick up their coach's Top Shot debut. And Luke, obviously, basketball royalty, son of Bill. Here we see him, the acrobatic finish. In his prime, Luke Walton was just like a consummate, the guy you wanted on your team. He did a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No, and it's easy to take these things for granted when you get these players that kind of just step into and really thrive in those kind of like utility roles. It's easy to take for granted that every single one of these people that that plays in the NBA is so capable of so many great things on offense if given the opportunity. And to see Luke Walton's eyes kind of light up as he finds an opportunity to sort of flex that offensive muscle is really kind of fun.
Moving ahead here, one of my favorite players, uh, to this day, still active, Lou Williams from his rookie season. Lou for one, as they called him. This guy could get buckets left and right. And here we see once again, just taking advantage of maybe some shoddy Knicks rim protection, driving. And at this point, you can see it in his face. Lou Williams was either 18 or 19 years old, and he's still getting buckets to this day.
Yeah, he came out of the gates as a volume scorer, an aggressive scorer. As soon as he checks into the game, you know he's looking for buckets, and that's continued to this day. A bit of a slow burn during his first season with Philly, but took a lot of notes under Allen Iverson, who was still there at the time, and developed, I think, into the player that he is today because of it.
Next up, we've got another big Top Shot collector, Richard Hamilton. And as we're going through these Pistons moments, it's dawning on me. We got Billups in a red Pistons jersey. We got Rip in a red Pistons jersey. Those jerseys underrated. I think they'll go down iconic long term. And here we see Rip in the mid range doing his thing like he does so well.
Yeah, a true master of the mid-range game, regardless of your thoughts on mid-range jumpers in today's game, there's no dispute that Richard Hamilton hit that mid-range as well as anybody during this time period, at least. So to see him sort of bait Jamal Crawford up into the air and then walk away with a nice little and one opportunity was a fun tribute to Rip's most famous playing style.
Yet another moment against my Knicks. I'm starting to take some notes here, Austin. Moving ahead here, we've got Marcus Camby, one of the best two-way bigs of the 2000s, defensive player of the year. And here we see doing what he does best, just chasing down this Kyle Korver block with emphasis.
Yeah, I love Marcus Camby at every step of his career, with the Raptors, with the Knicks, but with this Nuggets team, I think you got to see him really reach new heights defensively. An absolute menace on that end of the ball. As soon as like any shot goes up anywhere near the paint, you knew he'd be all over it. So happy to see Marcus Camby make his debut like this.
Yeah, and in the pace and sorry. And in the pace and space era of the NBA, I think Marcus Camby would be even more effective, right? In today's NBA with shooting all around, no better rim runner, and just really an elite player. And fun fact, when I was a kid, I must have been 5 or 6 years old, Marcus Camby was doing a meet and greet at a local bank in my hometown, which was not too far from the Knicks practice facility. And I sat on Marcus Camby's lap, and my mom gave him an action figure. So that was one of the fondest memories I had as a really young Knicks fan, getting closer to the action. So Marcus Camby, always one of my favorites. And of course, here we see him doing what he does best, which is protect the rim and use his athleticism and length to really stifle the offense. Moving ahead here to one of the 20 greatest players of all time, Dirk Nowitzki. And here we see what made him such a potent offensive player. Just unlimited range, feathery touch, and always seemed composed even when the moment was stressful.
Yeah, and for a little extra context here, this is at the end of regulation in Game 3 of their playoff series with the Grizzlies. The Mavs got a couple of attempts there, Jason Terry, Eric Dampier. But when that ball bounces out to Dirk Nowitzki, he sort of battles for the loose ball there. That's all he needs to put up what would go on to, force overtime, and the Mavs would go on to win the game, sweep the series. Dirk finished with 36 points in this game.
Really awesome too to just see the long hair European big men squaring off between Dirk and Pau Gasol, obviously contesting the shot. That was such a vibe and such an era of NBA history that this archive set's able to unlock for us. So really exciting. Moving along here, we're going to go to, speaking of all-time greats, Tim Duncan. If Dirk is a top 20 all-time player, Tim Duncan's got a fighting chance at being maybe a top 5, definitely top 10 all-time player. And here we see him rising up over the defense, including Dirk Nowitzki, coming in with the one-hand flush. Austin, yeah. Your Pistons played against Dirk in the finals a couple times, I want to say. What was that experience like? Because you're such a purist of the game, and you obviously have such an attachment to playing the game the right way. It's impossible to root against this guy.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even before that Pistons Spurs finals matchup, I just watching that Lakers dynasty go toe to toe against Tim Duncan and the Spurs. Every year these Spurs teams would do the same thing, and every year it would be as non-flashy as ever, but just time and time again they delivered. And Tim Duncan was a hero in the postseason. So to see him work a nice little pick and roll with Tony Parker here, and makes it look basic and simple and easy, but when Tim Duncan's dropping like 30 and 15 in a playoff game and his team's coming away with the win, it's easy to appreciate that. And he did it over and over again for close to 2 decades. So
yeah, I think the closest thing we'll see to Tim Duncan, not in terms of play style, of course, but in terms of just the reverence from teammates, the kind of lack of entitlement or ego in the locker room. Steph Curry, right? One of the only other guys that commands such respect from his peers, and also is just such an elite all-time player. And if you think that that's a disservice to Tim Duncan or Steph Curry, they're both going to end up right up there in top 10, top 15 players of all time list. So just an unbelievable talent. And here's Tim Duncan's first common moment on Top Shot. That's pretty cool. Moving ahead to another all-time great, here we see Jason Kidd. And Jason Kidd really just meant for Top Shot, because a magician with the ball, kind of did everything. And here we see his court vision and his instincts were so amazing. The defense always had to just assume he was going to pass. And Kidd had that kind of assassin mentality that when he sees the open lane, he's going to take advantage of it.
And this is a subtle one too, but I love how he can completely immobilize the defense, just with a subtle like head fake, a subtle pass fake, completely puts James Posey on his heels there and gives himself a wide open layup. Just a master of deception, and he knew exactly how to get people off balance and how to use that to his advantage. He was a fun player to watch.
Yeah, I'll say as a Knicks fan, there was nothing more fun to watch, even if I wasn't rooting for the Nets, than Jason Kidd. And we'll play this one more time. Jason Kidd in the open court, just the opportunity and possibilities were endless every single time. And you knew he was going to do something spectacular. This one, just as you mentioned, subtle, but the manipulation, the ability to kind of clear open that lane just through the reverence that the defense has to knowing all the things he's capable of, just truly one of a kind. Moving ahead, another Top Shot debut, and this one's from one of the unsung Stars, all-star, definitely an all-star, but one of the unsung, I think in today's NBA, unsung superstars, Michael Finley. And this is Finley later on in his career, obviously was a star, part of a big three with Dirk Nowitzki and Steve Nash with the Mavericks. And here we see him in the playoffs, moving along to the Spurs, throwing it down against his former team. Finley, just an unbelievable talent.
Yeah, just such a one of the best at just throwing down in-game hammer dunks. It was fun having him as the veteran with Nash and Nowitzki in Dallas. So when I saw, this play with his Spurs team, he had more team success with the Spurs. That was a young Mavs team. To see him have success with his new team against his former team, I thought this would just be such a fun way to like honor the very great player that Finley still was during his time in San Antonio, with a slight little throwback to the earlier chapter of his career.
And Finley's still very close to the game in the front offices. Wouldn't be surprised to see him as a GM or a president of basketball operations at one point in the maybe next decade or so. All right, and that does it for our moments from the 2005-2006 season. We've got three more unbelievable moments from the 13-14 season, and no better way to start that off than with the rookie, the 27th overall pick, active top shot collector himself, Rudy Gobert, with his rookie moment on Top Shot. And here we see back when he was a toothpick, still a very, very effective rim protector.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert was a bit of a slow burn to start his career before he really kind of took the title as the man in Utah. But ever since day one, you can see those instincts. I remember watching him in summer league when he got drafted. You just knew he was special. What I love about this play here is he's calm, he's patient, he waits for the right time, and to be able to sort of swat a floater out of the air, almost right at its peak, is very impressive. And to see Gobert just add more and more layers to his game, not just defensively but offensively, and turn into just a star, has been a lot of fun. But so we're excited to get that rookie onto the platform for everybody.
Also, just a moment of appreciation because this moment, of course, came 7-8 seasons ago, and both these teams wear the same uniforms more or less. So don't see that every day in the NBA. Moving along here, this is one of the cooler moments that we're introducing to the Top Shot platform, and it's Mario Chalmers' Top Shot debut. But of course, as you're watching this moment, so much more that meets the eye when you're actually watching the play. Austin, talk to me about this moment.
I love Mario Chalmers. I love the players that fit into teams and just do all the like uncelebrated work that sort of set the stage for their superstar teammates. And I think you see that literally here. Chalmers chases down Rudy Gay, picks his pocket cleanly, and then just has the wherewithal and the sheer confidence to bomb a two-handed heave pass backwards, knowing that his guy LeBron James was out there to pick it up and take it from there. I thought that kind of embodied just the type of work that Chalmers and so many players like him do. So important to successful teams. And of course, while all eyes are on LeBron James throwing down a windmill, to know that was made possible by that grit and that effort from Chalmers was really a lot of fun to explore.
I always thought Mario Chalmers was like the perfect fifth starter for those teams because he could spot up in the corner. He played capable defense. Rudy Gay, of course, on Sacramento, recently traded to Sacramento when this moment happened, and there was a lot of hope, I think, for Kings fans that the Rudy Gay DeMarcus Cousins partnership would take off. But if we're watching this play one more time, this was just peak Sacramento from this era, because not on this frame, but the next frame, you're going to see DeMarcus Cousins just abject disgust with what's going on the court. And that's just like you could see it right there. DeMarcus is rolling the eyes. They're probably getting creamed by 20 points or so at this time. And the Kings now on the come up again, but this was maybe not the most promising era of Kings basketball. And the last moment that we are introducing into the archive set for this drop, Rajon Rondo's Celtics debut moment. Obviously, a great Celtic. Wouldn't be surprised to see his name in the rafters at some point. And here we see him just peak Rondo, manipulating the defense, using the great screen. And similar to Jason Kidd earlier, just the possibilities of what Rondo could do with some tailwinds made the defense quiver every time. And here we see him finishing with the fake and the nice finish. Rondo really revolutionized what it meant to do fake passes before layups.
You couldn't introduce Celtics era Rajon Rondo without getting that textbook pass fake with those massive hands, the exaggerated reach out, and then to turn that into a bucket was kind of nice. But he did that time and time again. He'd do the fake behind his back. He'd do the fake in front of him. Really a fun, deceptive player to watch. Still is.
And just love to see Steven Adams as a wee teenager in this picture, in this shot. He's grizzled in the last 8 years or so, but young Steven Adams really was just a boy wonder giant on the court. But Rondo made quick work of him. There you have it, everyone. An unbelievable set. Some really epic moments, some great Top Shot debuts. Austin, what are you most looking forward to about this release?
As an old head, I'm just excited to have players like Steve Francis and Marcus Camby available on the platform. I have such fond memories of this era, watching these players at the various stops in their career. So to be able to visit them in 05, 06 is really kind of fun for me. What about you?
Yeah, I would say the same. I also think seeing Rudy Gobert's rookie moment make it to Top Shot's exciting. He's such a powerhouse in the league these days, and the Jazz look like they're going to be right back in the championship hunt this year. So getting his rookie moment, we weren't able to get it in Run It Back 13-14 in 2020 when we had that release. So to finally have his rookie moment make the platform is going to be great. But yeah, Austin, just kudos to you. Such an unbelievable curation job. And we've got some really, really epic moments coming. So community, I hope you enjoy, and looking forward to all that's still to come. For more great NBA Top Shot content, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure to stay up to date on all things happening on Top Shot Twitter. Till next time, happy collecting.